Men's volleyball is back in the two Virginias. Georgetown College makes the trip from Kentucky to take on the Bluefield College Rams in a Mid-South showdown. Hello, everybody. Bailey Engel and Ethan Stinson. We're glad to have you with us along for the men's volleyball ride on the Rams Digital Sports Network. And Ethan, it's been a tough stretch for Bluefield College men's volleyball, now playing up against a very tough Georgetown team.
It really has, and they've lost the last 7 straight, but they're always looking for redemption. And even though Georgetown coming in 3-0 straight against Thomas More at home, they were pretty even in their wins and losses overall, 6-5. So it's a pretty even matchup here today.
Well, Georgetown coming in pretty hot, as you're right, beating Thomas More, a team that beat Bluefield last time. The Rams were able to play them here at the Dome. Who jumps out at you on the page for Georgetown College?
Well, sure. We've got our opposite and outside hitters, Kowalski and Morrissey, respectively. So you already know that they're going to be coming in from the sides very aggressively with hardly any side outs. I mean, they're in the 80s for kills.
Well, Bluefield College will definitely have its hands full today up against the Georgetown team traveling from Kentucky. First year of the program, Andrew Palmer in his first season as the head coach up against Alfonso Alvarez in his second season as the head man for Bluefield College men's volleyball. Rams still with Alberto Ciparini. Got to really watch out for in the collegiate ranks of men's volleyball here in the NAIA. And unfortunately, Ethan, this game did get started an hour later from what we originally thought. We've been here since, well, I think around 3:30 before the game could start. And now that the officials are here and have gotten the time right, we are almost ready for volleyball and the two Virginias. Rams in the white, Georgetown in the black with the orange stripe down the side. So the Rams, losers of 7 in a row. Last win was at the end of February. They have played a couple of tough tri-match schedules. And Georgetown coming off of that win against Thomas More, a very strong team in Georgetown. And Thomas More, like we said, a team that's already beat Bluefield here today. Landon Ensminger getting the start. Sophomore from Statesville, North Carolina. Caleb Word. A freshman that's been impressive, Ethan, Leonel Fernandez on the outside for Bluefield.
Yeah, Fernandez, he has had a very proven track record, too, of some kills. He's impressive, man, as just a star player out there.
And you can say the same thing about Yadiel Diaz, the two of them coming from way south of here. Yadiel Diaz from San Lorenzo, Puerto Rico, and for the Rams, and also for Jovion Banks, a guy to watch out for that joined the team late, the middle hitter from Chesapeake, Virginia, an older freshman.
But these freshmen, they are good, like Buddy Gallimore said. I mean, they have a good promise for the future, and I can't wait for them to grow.
So Ciparini's on the floor. Colby Muter as well as the libero gets the first touch off of the serve. Here's Diaz. Big swing, just flirted over with Kowalski. Diaz blocked. Block was there. Reese Brown as well as Morrissey, who Ethan had already talked about. And it's 1-0 Georgetown College.
Morrissey likes to get aggressive from the outsides.
So here's Dabrowski, freshman from Poland. Big swing off the block. Yadiel Diaz ties it up at 1-1.
It seems like in this first start of the game, the concentration's been on the far side of the court.
Oh, now with the Rams already bringing in Jovion Banks. Muter. Oh, they went to Muter, got a dig. A bit more height for Georgetown, but the block's still there. Yadiel Diaz, well, it lands out of play. So a point goes back for Georgetown.
And that's the costly thing. When you're on the far side like that, you're risking a side out if you're not careful.
So now, here's Kowalski. Ostroleka, Poland, standing in at 6'8", 220. Wow, drilled
Wow.
home by Liam Morrissey.
That ball was nowhere in the vicinity of any Bluefield College Ram that I could see.
Now 3-1 and a convincing 3-1 for Georgetown so far. Tigers enjoying a 2-point lead. Lone kill so far for Yadiel Diaz. Rams already out of system. Get it over the net, though. Muter with a quick hands. Fernandez. Point Georgetown.
It just seems like Bluefield is getting a little bit reckless with the ball, like they have to resurrect it from the outside of the court.
Well, it's definitely tough when you have a serve that comes in so hot on a fastball from Kowalski. Rams get out of system to begin, and then they spend the rest of that time trying to recover. With a right hand. Fernandez, point Bluefield. So he notches his first point of the day. It's 4-2. Important for the freshmen to make their way through the Mid-South here. Rams with that 7-game losing streak right now at a 4-11 record on the season. Rams have played 15 games. Word, what a diving play. Georgetown thought it had another kill ready. Block goes out, though, courtesy Diaz and Banks. And now it goes back into the hands of Georgetown with a 5-2 lead. Seven-game losing streak. Rams last winning against Truett McConnell at home back on February 26th. Block is there. Wow. Stuffed home by Tyree Wesley.
Wesley, I noticed also in the statistics that he has had a proven, just an impeccable performance blocking. So that's a man to watch out for on the defense.
Wesley, the middle blocker from St. Louis. Remember, a brand new Georgetown program. Wow, floated home. There wasn't any spin on that from Reese Brown. 7-2 the score.
Definitely a nice way to set up that play. Barely touching the chalk.
Brown going back to it again. I'm kind of mixing it up where Morrissey had swung so hard, or Kowalski, excuse me, on those serves, and that was floated by Brown. Rams able to answer after the misplay by Georgetown's Adam Ansel. So it's 7-3. Bluefield back with a serve. Yadiel Diaz. I think two of the big freshmen that have really made a stance for this year. Yadiel Diaz as well as Leo Fernandez.
And David Adkins, might I also add. I know him. And there is no local high school programs around here for men's volleyball, but he's an impressive man to swing the volleyball.
So we're going to have to see.
As a freshman.
Yep, 6'5", coming from Racel, West Virginia. And I think that bring up an interesting point. There is no men's volleyball in the area, so that adds a very particular curveball to the recruiting done by Alfonso Alvarez to find men's volleyball players. That's why you're seeing a good amount of players coming from South Florida as that one's cranked home by Liam Morrissey. Good amount of players from South Florida. Alfonso Alvarez grew up, born and raised in Miami.
It's interesting to note, it's not even in the WVSSAC or the VHSL, so
Right.
No local program has it. Wish they did.
Jovion Banks getting into the mix. Bluefield only trails by 5, 9-4. Cycling in and out. Terrell Boston into the game for the first time, the Richmond native. So a couple of Richmond area players. Caleb Word out there as well. Both of them coming from the same high school. And now for Bluefield, already an ace for Terrell Boston coming into the game and making a difference.
Boston loves to get aggressive with the aces.
They go back to it here. Look at the air. And a free ball. Off the body of Boston. Point Georgetown.
Felt like the ball came at him a bit too fast for him to hit the ball like he did.
Well, we'll have to see what Bluefield's able to do defensively here. Here's Adam Ansel. Once again, cranked down. Georgetown's been able to answer everything Bluefield has had in the middle of the net. Slapped in Kowalski.
Yeah, Muter just couldn't get a grip on it for that time, falling backwards.
Big lead for Georgetown already at 11-5. Dunked by Word, but the answer there. Go to Ciparini. Well, Bluefield has not targeted the all-conference selection that much early on here. Went out of the rotation. Now it's 11-6. See what Caleb Word can perform for Bluefield College. On the left hand, Ciparini hit the net, point Georgetown.
Minger just couldn't get to it in time.
Well, hitting the net, official automatically blew the whistle. Gliding out to a 12-6 lead. Zena is strong, showing so far from the libero and Damian Bilko. Another Polish player for Georgetown. Lobbed up. Kowalski. Ensminger. Now Fernandez punches the ball, diving. Kowalski again. Free ball. Out. And for Georgetown, you can really credit a lot of that to Krzysztof Kowalski and Liam Morrissey. It's 13-6, timeout called by Alfonso Alvarez. We'll take a break here on the Rams Digital Sports Network, where Georgetown leads early. Apologize for the technical difficulties. We are now back. 14-8 the score. Georgetown jumping up to a 6-point lead again. Yadiel Diaz with a big swing and stuffs it home. Be dug out that time by Damian Bilko. And now it's 14-9. Bluefield only down by 5. Well, Ethan, after the break, it is notable how Georgetown has really had an answer for everything Bluefield has thrown at them so far.
Yeah, I can equate that to like the doctoral defense of the century.
Bluefield College able to get that back down with the block. Only a 4-point lead. Rams feeling like they're back into it. (14-10) the score. Here's Muter, big swing. Right hand. Punched over. And yet again, a point for Georgetown.
Word and Muter were both going for it, but a little bit of miscommunication.
So 15-10. Seems like Georgetown, especially with a couple of these players, a freshman from Poland, Kowalski, as well as Dabrowski and Liam Morrissey, the Nevada native, has been so good. There he is again with the block there, 16-10.
It just puzzles me how nonchalant that was, just knocking it in there easily.
And we even noted when we were watching earlier that Well, Georgetown, when they were warming up for this game, they got started an hour later than it was scheduled to. That they seem pretty nonchalant, pretty relaxed as far as their warm-ups, even as that one gets stuffed into the net. But a very relaxed ball club. And so far, I mean, with a 5-point lead, seems like that whole ideology has really worked for them.
Yeah, and I think Bluefield could take a lesson from that. Not be nervous, but just play the game.
See what Fernandez can do here. And after the service error, there's another one as the Rams answer it back. Back to a 6-point lead. So here's Reese Brown. Oddly enough, that you look at this entire roster for Georgetown, there's word. Won't be able to get it there, but Jovion Banks can, cranking it up in the middle of the net. It's interesting to look at this Georgetown roster. There is literally only one player from Kentucky. That's Cooper Jacobelli. And he has not seen the floor yet tonight for Georgetown. All of these guys for Andrew Palmer's team have came from different states and even different countries.
I'd also like to add that it's ironic that I don't think any Bluefield natives are even on the Bluefield
right,
roster.
Well, that's also true. But that goes back what you said, and you can say the same thing about with Virginia and West Virginia with Kentucky, that men's volleyball isn't gigantic there. Well, women's side in Kentucky, very huge, with Louisville being a huge center of the sport. But you can't really say the same thing for the men's side. Ciparini, the Brazilian, able to lob that one in. It's only a 6-point game again, 19-13.
Morrissey almost dove for it. Couldn't get to it.
Georgetown still with a comfortable lead. Terrell Boston. Once again, the block is there. And you know what's encouraging, Ethan, is the fact that for Bluefield College, even down by 5, they've been down by as much as 7. Energy is still there for Bluefield College.
Well, it's still anybody's game, you know. They're down by 5. They could easily redeem themselves.
Terrell Boston trying to start that redemption. And an answer already, Tyree Wesley.
I think I might have jinxed him.
Well, for Bluefield College, the mindset, obviously with Coach Alvarez, you can't really get bogged down in the last play. And it doesn't seem like the Rams have done that.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
I have never heard that expression before, but I hope you're not eating elephant steak after this. 20-15 after the service error.
But it just goes to show, you know, it's one play at a time. You know, they got to reach that goal just one play at a time.
Popped up. Quick switch move for Fernandez. Kowalski, Muter. He was bumping into each other. Word taking a second to get up. Pop back. Want the call, and they will get it. Dabrowski going behind his own shoulders, 21-15.
And Bluefield's looking like they're not backing down just yet.
Only down by 6. Timeout called. Rams up by or down by 6 here in set number 1. We'll take another quick break here on the Rams Digital Sports Network.
Bluefield College football ready to take on point, returning to Mitch. Bluefield College football ready to take on point.
Welcome back to Bluefield. 21-15. Georgetown College leads over BC. Rams just down by 6. And Georgetown College has led by as much as 7 and has really dominated set number 1, Ethan. But Bluefield College, as you have said, the energy is still there and the Rams haven't backed down yet.
And that's the right attitude to have, because they very well may take this first set. We don't know.
Well, here is Bilko. Lobs it up, and the first serve out of the timeout by Alfonso Alvarez. Ciparini off the block, point Bluefield. And bounced off of the noggin of Kowalski. Now down to a 5-point game, 21-16. And another one, Kowalski waiting on the call, looked to see if that one actually went over the net, but it went into the block and fell down. So now Georgetown's only 3 points away. Thank you for everybody tuning in here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. No fans as of yet allowed inside, but we're allowed to have them outdoors at football and baseball. And the ace for Georgetown, only 2 away now.
That ball just was not returnable. As a matter of fact, I was concerned it was going to hit the ceiling for a second.
Well, remember, if it hits the ceiling, it's still playable. You got to play it off of the ceiling, and that has happened before, where it hits the ceiling and you're allowed to lay it back down. Ensminger blocked. Muter. Diaz once again blocked. Rams having trouble getting it over. And that time, able to spin in Fernandez, 23-17.
Fernandez has been very prominent for Bluefield tonight as far as the kills are concerned.
And he will be for the future as well. Actually going to have the women's team back here on Tuesday up against Bryan, a team they beat on the road to begin the spring season. Heck of a serve.
And it's their first home game here since November also.
Pretty crazy what happened at the end of their season. So many games getting suspended. That one goes into the upper deck, and here comes set point for Georgetown.
Went right up in the other side of bleachers.
24-17.
Looks like Sutherland's there to retrieve it.
Yeah, we're going to see her in action on Tuesday. Meanwhile, though, set point coming up for Krzysztof Kowalski. Overpass. Georgetown back. Word with a great diving play. Set. Spike for Brown. Bilko cranking it up, and that is how the first set ends. 25-17. Bluefield College drops this one. We're going to be back with set number 2 as Georgetown's up 1-0.
Welcome back, everybody. Set number 2 getting ready to come underway here at the Bluefield College Dome. Right now, Georgetown leads 1-0 as far as the sets are concerned, but Bluefield's still not going to give up this fight yet. Alvarez is conferring with some of the boys down there, and I believe we're ready to start play after everybody gets set. So, Bailey, what did you like in this first half?
Well, I did like in the first set for Bluefield College that even when the Rams were down by 6 or 5, you still saw a good amount of energy, particularly from a few of the freshman players, including Leo Fernandez as well as Yadiel Diaz. But it's going to be interesting to see what the Rams can do against a defense of Georgetown that has had a great middle block.
Oh, nice diagonal return from Diaz. That one spun right on top of the net, but right there, Bluefield winning that fight, 1-0.
Just kept rolling down the tape, Ethan, and the Rams able to get the drop, being patient there and really trying to set the tone in set number 2 after jumping out for Georgetown to such a large lead. You saw them lead by as much as 7 early on. It was 10-3.
Colby Muter for a service error. It's now 1 apiece. One thing Bluefield cannot do is give free points.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But you also have to think that they're trying to serve to even test Georgetown, though, and I think that's what Muter was trying to do.
Ensminger with an unreturnable ball. It's 2-1. In favor now, the Bluefield College Rams back on top. Caleb Ward now coming in for the serve. Ball moving left to right. He dribbles. It's up. And Morrissey laying it in there perfectly in between Muter and Diaz. That's now a 2-2 game.
Yeah, Bluefield trying to keep this pretty close early on. You can tell the energy's still there, even losing by quite a bit in that first set, Ethan. I mean, it wasn't really close. 25-17, largest lead of the game is how the set ended.
And Kowalski trading service error for service error almost there. 3-2 now in favor still of the Bluefield College Rams. Chipperini up for the serve. And laying it from the far side was, you guessed it, Mr. Morrissey for the kill. It's now a 3-all game.
Yeah, you can tell that Georgetown, just a ton of energy, and like we had talked about at the beginning of the year, or the beginning of the broadcast, I should say, coming off of a 3-0 victory over Thomas More, a team that handled Bluefield pretty well.
Here comes Diaz, and Diaz from the far side answers right back, 4-3.
Well, Diaz is going to be a special guy to watch out for moving forward in his Bluefield College career. You see there a couple of high fives given from Alfonso Alvarez right to Yadiel Diaz.
Terrell Boston checking in now. He dribbles, and it's up. Coming right in the center was number 13, Wesley, who had some, if I might say, some very impressive blocking statistics for Georgetown.
And I think that watching this Georgetown team, they're a very defensively strong team because you've seen sequences where the Rams have hit into the block 3 straight times without getting the ball over.
Yeah, and it's a 4-4 ball game. Here comes Word. And almost diving for it, chasing after it was Muter. But now that puts Georgetown on top. Morrissey now up for the serve on Georgetown.
Georgetown, it looks like just business as usual, what they've been able to do. Go ahead, Ethan. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's fine. Right to left. It's Word to Diaz. To Dabrowski, and he lays it in for the kill. It's now 6-4 with them pulling away a 2-point lead.
Yeah, he just slammed the ball down. Both guys were up at the net right there, and Dabrowski with the left hand just slamming it right down to the hard court and giving Georgetown a 2-point lead.
I'd like to say they'd like to get aggressive on that front line, and just like right there, number 13 once again, Tyree Wesley for he likes to make those plays in the middle, and it's effortless for them. Seriously, it's like they do this with ease.
Well, I think right there it was also gifted with an overpass right to the middle of the net where Wesley was able to just crank it down for Georgetown, capitalizing on a Bluefield mistake.
Bluefield cannot make any more costly mistakes if they want to stay in this ball game, but they just did.
Well, a block there. Jovion Banks right there for him. And there's a guy that Alfonso Alvarez was particularly excited to have on this roster for BC. Banks threw his hands up. He's been tall in the middle block or the middle of the net for Bluefield College. It's been interesting that we've seen a lot of Banks and no General Smith as of yet in this ball game. And Alfonso Alvarez, who had moved a lot of pieces in and out of the lineup in games before this, has really kept the same group of guys out there.
And the block from Morrissey as he high-fives his teammates. It's an 8-5 ball game after a serve from Fernandez.
Yeah, it looked like Banks jumped up and actually had that one very close to dropping in for BC. And another one from Morrissey able to come home.
For this Georgetown ball club, it's hard to tell who's going to win the joust sometimes. But that one was outside as ruled by the judge. So now it's a 9-5 on a side out.
Yeah, you see Coach Alvarez here. Wanted a confirmation where that ball went, and it just fell just a little too far outside of the corner, but you can tell the Rams, I mean, there's still a lot of aggression. I mean, we've seen in the past that the team is really not, almost been very timid to try to crank the ball in, and Bluefield College, even with a few mistakes today, hasn't done that.
And from the joust from the near side, Georgetown on the winning side of that one. Looks like Kowalski's celebrating a little bit.
Slammed the ball down.
Adam Ansel. He's up to serve now, going right to left. He swirls. It's up. And Fernandez to Dabrowski. And for the kill, after it fell off the hands of Word, was Wesley. Wesley. We've heard that name a lot tonight.
Yeah, definitely have. I mean, for Georgetown, you can just tell for you've said Wesley's name a lot tonight, but you've also said Kowalski a lot. You've said Dabrowski. I mean, Georgetown isn't traveling with a ton of guys, and they have all made a humongous difference, especially on serves like that from Adam Ansel.
And I don't even think that they've made any substitutions of personnel yet. So, like, this team is on fire.
Yeah, we saw a good amount of Reese Brown there in set number one, and we have yet to see Coach Palmer bring him in. And particularly on this long serving rally for Ansel.
Ansel once again. It's up. Here's Jovion Banks. Unreturnable from Ansel. Flew right out of his hand. 12-6. Now ball moves left to right. Jariel Diaz, the freshman, up for the serve. Here's Word, giving it to Chipperini. And Chipperini for the kill. Morrissey couldn't get a grip on it.
Yeah, Chipperini, Rams really need to get him into the game if Bluefield College wants to make this one at least a little bit honest here. Down by 5, and we haven't seen that much out of Chipperini.
Yet Chipperini is just a splendid player, a senior from Brazil. And you've seen lots of progress from him in the past 4 years.
Yeah, and especially coming out of an injury. Unfortunately, Bluefield College, they wanted a pancake there. Not going to be gifted that.
Now the Libro's up. Damian Bilko, freshman from Poland. One of the Polish trio on this team. He dribbles. It looks like the coaches are getting a bit feisty down there.
Yeah, I think that Buddy Gallimore has actually said something. Women's volleyball coach. Once again, oh, it's been tough, Ethan.
It has been tough. I mean, Bluefield now trailing by 7. It's just been aggression from this team. And now going back to the serving lines, Bilko, he dribbles. He gets ready for the signal. And it's up, high. And from the joust at the center, Jovion Banks getting a good handle on that one, 14-8.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if that was a joust as much as it was Jovion Banks attacking the block one-on-one, or really one-on-two, and stuffing it home.
Well, the game gets very real on the front lines. Number 8 now, Colby Muter, the libero on Bluefield College, for the serve. Reese Brown from the middle. Ciparini to Dabrowski. Nice block from Bluefield there.
Once again, I mean, you look at it, Ethan, where Kowalski is so strong on the outside portion of the net. And you actually even said it when we started this broadcast that Georgetown was going to have tough guys on the outside, and they really have.
Yeah, and I mean, usually you'll find a lot of weaknesses in your outsides and your opposites especially. All right, here's... And a nice one in from Kowalski. Though it was a side out as ruled by the judge. 15-9.
Yeah, Kowalski, sorry, Ethan, once again, but he was going cross court there. And once again, you're just seeing where he's really trying to stretch the floor a little bit, and unfortunately just couldn't drop that ball in.
Kowalski's rarely aired tonight, so I mean. And that was a good point for Georgetown. We're now going to a timeout, so we'll be back in about a minute here on the Rams Digital Sports Network, where the score 16-9, Georgetown. Welcome back to the Dome Gymnasium. Ethan Stinson and Bailey Engel here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. And it seems like Georgetown has just been out there killing the ball. And pun is definitely intended there, as you know.
Well, I tell you what, for Georgetown, you're just seeing what great athletes can do. And they've been able to communicate well. I mean, Kowalski on the edge of the net has done a great job. And even in the middle, for Bluefield College, it's been tough to get anything past a guy like Tyree Wesley. And then when Kowalski's not on the right side of the serve or the set, then you also have to worry about Liam Morrissey on the outer edge. So it's tough for Bluefield College to have answers to so many guns in this attack.
And the usual suspect for all of those scores is now up. Number 15, Kowalski. He gets it high. Here's word to Diaz, but on the outside for the side out. It's now 17-9. In favor of Georgetown.
Yeah, pretty tough run for Bluefield College here. Already up by 8. Georgetown only 8 away from taking set 2.
And Ensminger in the middle. Ball went too far out. It's almost swooping around the corner of the net. It's now 10 for Bluefield, and they trail by 7.
Yeah, Rams needed a gift.
Ciparini. Coming from the right side, Morrissey. 18-10. They're now leading by 8, and Morrissey, time and time again, along with Kowalski, they get aggressive.
Yeah, and Liam Morrissey right there after he just swung the hand down. You can tell these guys are just confident, and Bluefield College hasn't had any way to stop them.
Reese Brown for the serve now. Caleb Word to Fernandez. Bouncing on the inside. Morrissey couldn't get to it in time. Unreturnable. 18-11 now. It's now a 7-point game. Terrell Boston now checking in to serve.
Yeah, last time we saw him check in earlier in set 1, he did notch an ace for Bluefield College. See if he can get some sort of serving streak going.
And here comes Boston. Dabrowski. And apparently, and you have a lot of celebration from Morrissey. He has been on fire all night long, adding to his statistics.
Yeah, he certainly has. And for Georgetown, you're playing in your first year collegiately as a program. And I mean, Morrissey's a transfer from Urbana University, but you can tell that this team finally feels like they're on a roll.
Javon Banks couldn't get to it.
Well, Jovion Banks, once again, he was just trying to find some open space on the net, and I think that's what's been tough about Georgetown is the block's been there, so Bluefield College has had to try to go away from the block instead of going right into it, and Banks, unfortunately, wasn't able to calibrate it home.
Here comes Dabrowski. And right there in tandem, Wesley. And I saw that move a little bit in practice today where they would set it up, and then someone on either side of the middle would throw it in. So it's like that 2-in-1 move.
Looks like we got a timeout here, Ethan.
Timeout. So we'll be back in 60 here on the Rams Digital Sports Network with a score 21-11 Georgetown. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bluefield College Dome. We had a stats update from our statistician, Cynthia Brown, and it seems that Kowalski now has 11 kills on this game.
Yeah, 11 kills, and as many times as we've been calling his name, and honestly, that seems like a bit of a low number because Georgetown has really showcased their outside hitters, and Liam Morrissey as well as Kowalski, and we've been able to say Wesley's name a good amount too. So for Bluefield College, they just haven't been able to muster up any sort of run against Georgetown. We've seen for Bluefield against a team that might be a little bit more athletic than them muster up a run against them in the past, but here against Georgetown, I mean, it's been dominantly all Tigers today.
And now to swing it, Morrissey. Banks on the block. And Chipperini with a nice return. Dabrowski. Falling down was Bilko. Miscombobulated a little bit, 21-12. It's a 9-point game, but 4 points away from winning the second set is Georgetown.
And that's exactly what Bluefield College wanted right out of the timeout, being able to swing hard and force the libero to go back on his backside.
You see that move a little bit in basketball, too, them falling on the backside a little bit. And laying it in, but not successful. Ansel a little bit to the outside.
Yeah, Ansel cranking it down the line, just missed it.
Now here comes Fernandez for Bluefield College. He dribbles. 21-13 the score. And a service error. Given that 3-point to Georgetown, 3 away.
Yeah, Georgetown just 3 away, and Bluefield College in a scenario really the entire set where you can't make mistakes. They don't give themselves any margin for error because Georgetown's been able to capitalize on every one.
Ansel giving it to Muter. Chipperini. Flying off the hands backwards from Morrissey. One of the rare times, again, that he's made a mistake tonight. It's 22-14. Favor of Georgetown still. Bluefield trails by 8.
And Bluefield, I think what we saw in the first set where a good amount of the energy was still there, and I don't think I've seen that as much out of Bluefield in set 2, where they were all fired up. But then again, it was a closer game in set number 1. It was 25-17 when it ended, and we just haven't had enough of those highlight moments to see out of Bluefield College. And the Rams are certainly going to have to change things here if they want to get something going, at least in set 3. But this set's not over, as you said, Ethan. So we'll have to see what Bluefield College can do here. Captain Alberto Ciparini talking it over with the official.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're discussing over there, but I will say it must be important. And also Morrissey on the other side of that conversation. This play is at a standstill as huddles are going around on the court for Bluefield, explaining probably what happened.
Well, talking this one over still, it seemed pretty cut and dry what was supposed to happen there.
And it looks like the play stands, whatever that was. 22-14 in favor of Georgetown. Jariel Diaz now awaiting the signal. Jariel Diaz dribbles. Referee signals forward.
So they were making a question of whether they wanted to replay that point, because obviously we're not allowed at this level to actually have replays, but right after the stop, the makeshift timeout, Georgetown's able to get another big point.
Yeah, and I was capitalizing on Bluefield's side out. 23-14 in favor still of the Georgetown Tigers. Coming back to the serving positions, Bilko from Darlowo, Poland. He dribbles. Goes high. Muter to Chipperini. Morrissey with ease. Side out from Kowalski. It's 23-15. Muter now. The other libero on the other team, Bluefield College. He dribbles in anticipation. It's up. Here's word to Fernandez, and not getting a handle was Ansel. 23-16.
I don't even know if that's really Ansel's fault there, because you look at a great shot from Fernandez, and he was really excited after it dropped, and I think he's asking himself, where has that been the rest of this set? And for Georgetown, it might be a little too late for Bluefield to come back against them, because the Tigers have surmounted such a large lead at 7 points.
And knocking it in nicely, Kowalski from the near side, 24-16, and it's set point.
Yeah, already set point, and this has just been such a great showing for Georgetown here in set 2. Bluefield seemed like they were going back and forth a little bit more in set 1, and in the middle of this set, Tigers were able to really pull forward.
Dabrowski on outside, 24-17, still set point. Bluefield edging their way up. Caleb Word now for the serve on Bluefield. It's up. And getting very competitive at the net, but Georgetown taking it away for the second set straight in this contest. Well, we'll be back in about a couple of minutes for the third stanza here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Well, welcome back here to the Bluefield College Dome. 45 seconds left on the timeout clock before we begin our third set. It very well could be the final one, but you never know. Bluefield could be resilient and bounce back. 25-17 for both of the preceding sets in favor of Georgetown, leading 2-0. And Bailey, what do you think Bluefield needs to do to get back on top if they want to win this game?
Well, it looks like for Bluefield, they got to keep the mistakes down because you saw early on for the Rams a couple of service errors and as well as some hitting errors. But they have to find a way to answer these outside hitters in Liam Morrissey as well as Krzysztof Kowalski. And unfortunately for Bluefield, it just doesn't seem like they've been able to do that as of yet. And I also need to see more of Alberto Ciamparini because Bluefield College, when they do win, Ciamparini's a big part of it, and we haven't seen that. And Fernandez and Yadiel Diaz have been the main targets of the offense so far. And for Bluefield College, just got to stay in system off of these tough serves as well from Georgetown.
All right, here's Dabrowski for the serve. And now third set is underway here at the Dome. Ciamparini. And Reese Brown laying it in. Colby Muter almost dove for it.
Yeah, Reese Brown has been really tough for Bluefield College today. That middle blocking position has also been something to highlight for Georgetown. We've given a lot of love to the outside hitters for the Tigers, but the middle blocker and Reese Brown as well as Wesley have been really strong.
Ciamparini, I believe he heard us all the way from up here because now the score is 1-1.
Yeah, Ciamparini, I mean, so much strength, so much power. I remember a couple of years ago when Ciamparini wasn't named to be an NAIA All-American, that should have been pretty offensive to him because he had a great season. So there's a lot of potential and a lot of prowess in Ciamparini.
Ensminger was a little bit outside, but very impressive play for Bluefield College nonetheless. 2-1, Georgetown.
Yeah, the block just couldn't substantiate there, Ethan.
Kowalski back up to serve on Georgetown. Let's see what he cooks up. And it's up. Word to Ensminger. Dabrowski. And saving it, but not doing that, was Caleb Word. Unreturnable. 3-1 in favor of Georgetown.
Yeah, Georgetown, this is where we saw them really jump up to a big lead in set one. Bluefield College was able to go neck and neck with them for the first couple of points in set two, and then Georgetown really jolted forward in the middle of set two and didn't really let up.
Kowalski. Check it. Yeah, that was Kowalski. Kowalski was cranked up a bit too much on the electrical voltage. 3-2. Caleb Ward coming up to the serving position for Bluefield. Gets it up. And Morrissey has dominated this game with the 13th kill from our statistician.
Yeah, Liam Morrissey, I mean, 13 kills. You can't ask for more than that. I mean, already 2 outside hitters in double figures for Georgetown. And I got to think that Bluefield College is struggling to have anybody in double figures at this point. Georgetown has 2 guys.
7 away from a cumulative total of 100 kills. Wesley that time contributing to that play, 5-2. Brown now coming up to serve for Georgetown, 5-2. It's the third set.
That's a particularly great start to the season for Morrissey now with 93 kills on the year.
And to both number 14s, Ansel to Fernandez. But Fernandez went lopsided on the ball, 6-2.
Yeah, Bluefield College, it just looks a little lost right now. We'll have to see what Alvaro Grande can do. Another freshman to look out for that Alfonso Alvarez has been particularly high on.
Yeah, he likes to play aggressive on the middle, too. And a service error bouncing off the neck of Morrissey from Hansel. It's now 6-3 with Ciamparini coming up for the serve.
Be big here for Bluefield to have the serve back.
Ciamparini giving it to Word. Ciamparini again. Too much Ciamparini. And that was 7-3 now in favor of Georgetown. They lead by 4.
Still got to love that Ciparini's trying at least to really blast the ball home. Just got way too much of it.
Morrissey brings it up. Here's Word. Grande on the winning side of that one. Knocking it back. Ciparini keeping it alive. And knocking it in. Dobrolowski.
I mean, you just think about Georgetown, every single name in this roster. I mean, this is a team playing in their first year ever, and they have looked so strong against Bluefield College here today.
Yes, and not to mention, like I said, 3 from Poland that are just contributing to the team. And the ball still getting kept up, but more than 4 hits. 4 and no more. 9-3 for Georgetown.
Yeah, 9-3.
Morrissey waits. He signals. It's up. Word. And Wesley. Diaz knocks it back. Word couldn't knock it forward. 10-3.
All we're seeing for Bluefield is just more of the same here in set 3, and I know that's got to frustrate Coach Alvarez. Now bringing in Tony Martin as well to try to mix something up. Now, what I had hinted at earlier for Bluefield, where really in the past there's been a revolving door of players throughout the game, mixing it up here in set 3.
And also, may I mention, Tony Martin has changed jersey numbers from number 0 to number 3 on the court. And laying it in nicely, Bluefield College. It's now 10-4, a 6-point ball game. Terrell Boston checking in now to serve. Ball's up. And a service error, a little bit too much on the outside. It's 11-4.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier, Ethan, where Bluefield College just has no margin for error. They really have to strive on these serves and kind of roll the dice a little bit, but unfortunately the Rams just don't have the luxury of making many more mistakes.
And you know what? I mean, and the service errors are costly because they're not missing a beat on Georgetown. And just like they did there on the losing side of the battle at the net was Bluefield, unfortunately, 12-4.
It just looks like the Rams are a bit flat right now. And you can see that it's very tough for such a young team that's already lost 7 games in a row. How do they answer with a streak like this? Unfortunate happening for their team.
Service error from Kowalski, giving it back to Bluefield. Consider that a gift. And let's see if Bluefield can capitalize.
7-point lead. And for Bluefield, it's just, they've been trailing by pretty much this margin for most of the day. Also going to see another guy coming in that made a lot of noise last year, Devin Robinson.
Devin Robinson from Richmond. Check it. He's from Richmond, Virginia, J.R. Tucker High School.
Got a couple of J.R. Tucker guys. Devin Robinson, Caleb Word, Terrell Boston.
All the team chemistry coming from the Richmond gentlemen.
Well, I think that Ray Vance, the former head coach of Bluefield College men's volleyball, he lives in Richmond, was very tapped into the Richmond volleyball scene and got a lot of his recruiting done in the 804 area, as well as outside of it, right in 757.
Nonchalantly, Dobrolowski. Nobody on Bluefield saw that coming. 14-5.
Yeah, Bluefield College, it just is frustrating to watch. You can tell that a lot of them are pretty frustrated in themselves right now, just trying to answer, trying to get some sort of streak going after losing the first 2 sets by a pretty wide margin at 25-17 as well.
One of the Polish trio is now up to serve. And that one was a triple.
No, it was a double hit.
Double hit.
So they said that the ball stopped spinning when Tony Martin's hands went up. The ball had stopped. So therefore, that's illegal and a point given to Georgetown.
Yep, double contact. He sort of had the thumb up there. I didn't know about that.
Right.
15-5. Here he comes. Martin giving it to Chipperini. Dabrowski. Muter saves it. It's getting aggressive here. Martin. And Dabrowski giving it outside. Giving a freebie to Bluefield, 15-6.
Yeah, that was one of the best defensive stances of the game for Bluefield College, and that's why they got so excited, particularly on the bench for the Bluefield College Rams. You can hear Terrell Boston getting pretty excited for Bluefield, because the Rams haven't had many plays go their way today like that.
And just now getting it over the net after a block. Jovion Banks knocking it in from the middle, 15-7.
Yeah, Jovion Banks, you can tell Bluefield College getting a little bit more encouraged now with their middle blocker getting into it and slamming the ball home.
Diaz back up to serve for Bluefield College. He dribbles. It's up. Knocking it back is Dabrowski to Brown. Here's Muter. Block on the far side. On the winning side of that one was Dabrowski. 16-7.
Yeah, for Georgetown, I mean, just you got to imagine that you're pretty comfortable when you get up to such a large lead early on in the set. I mean, up by 9 and only 9 away from winning the whole thing here today in pretty confident fashion. And what's pretty crazy is how Georgetown has looked with having the hour delay to warm up. Could have been pretty cold, and it kind of seems like Georgetown's been able to capitalize with that extra hour to warm up.
Yeah. And Jovion Banks once again hits it in the middle.
Jovion's going to be tough for Bluefield College coming up in these next couple of years. And Alfonso Alvarez really wanted to get him in a Rams uniform. Got him in a little bit late to start the season, and now really implementing him into the game plan.
Muter to serve. Dabrowski. And flat in, but outside, Kowalski on a side out. Getting a little miscoordinated. They're usually very reliable players on the ends.
Yeah, and I mean, for Georgetown, you think about how reliable they have been today on the ends with both Morrissey and Kowalski.
Here comes Martin to Chipperini, keeping it alive.
And you just saw the miscommunication there with Tony Martin as well as Devin Robinson, and that's going to frustrate Coach Alvarez, and you can already see it on his face.
17-9, the grimaces can tell the story. Miscommunication, costly error. Here's the serve, Martin. And blocking it that time, Brown in the middle. Unfortunately, Grande a little bit too shy on the joust, 18-9.
Yeah, for Bluefield, I mean, they haven't been able to answer against Reese Brown and Wesley when they've been kind of revolving in and out of being the middle blockers.
Third set of action, 18-9. An ace for Kowalski right in the middle of the court. Nobody could get to it in time. 19-9, it's a 10-point game. And a timeout's been called, and it looks like Alvarez is not too happy with that. We'll be back in 60 seconds on the Rams Digital Sports Network, where in this third set, Georgetown leads 19-9. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bluefield College Dome. Ethan Stinson, Bailey Engel here in the third set of action, 19-9. And Bailey, this is not looking good for Bluefield College, trailing by 10.
No, it particularly isn't. And I think that the energy has kind of dwindled for Bluefield College, and almost understandably so when you've already lost 7 in a row, and then Georgetown comes out with a couple of 25-17 set victories. The Tigers have just been stronger today. And Bluefield College, it's been very tough, and I know Ciparini got a big swing back there, but we're going to just need to see more out of him and the rest of this team in the future to get some wins in.
And Ciparini barely touching the chalk on the corner for that point, 19-10. Martin for the serve, but a service error too low, 20-10. Now double the score of Bluefield is Georgetown, a dynamic team that we've seen all night long.
Yeah, and Georgetown, I mean, just came into this 6-5, Ethan. It's not like they're undefeated, but they're finding the right stride in their season right now, coming off a win against Thomas More, and now just 5 away from a 3-0 victory.
Reese Brown for that serve. Here is Ciparini outside. It's 21-10. Looks like a lot of celebration coming from Kowalski on that one. 21-10.
And you can just tell there's a ton of confidence with Georgetown right now. They can feel it, only 4 away from really a dominant showing against Bluefield College on the road.
Reese Brown now for the serve. They're clapping. Diaz keeps it alive. Here's Dabrowski. Nice block. Block from Ciparini. And the ball couldn't get back over, 21-11.
Yeah, Bluefield College not giving it up quite yet. I mean, we've seen Ciparini almost kind of like angrily swinging, and you can understand that. I mean, he's got a ton of power.
21-11, still a 10-point game. Martin, here's Dabrowski to Morrissey.
I think that Morrissey hit the net there, Ethan.
Yeah, contact on the net, never good. Did he touch the net, or did the ball touch the net?
It was outside of the pin.
Outside of the pins. So yeah, that's an outside ruling, 21-12. And laying it in was Ansel, 22-12, 3 points away from taking this one to the house.
I think laying it in is pretty courteous, Ethan, because Ansel absolutely drilled that ball with the right hand.
Well,
I mean, and we've seen that all out of Georgetown today. Not a lot of finesse from this Tigers team. It's just been all power.
And a lot of that stride is continuing. A good play from Morrissey, 22-13. Terrell Boston now up to serve for his 5th time tonight. Ball's up. Here's Dabrowski. And Fernandez right there, squared up with the ball, knocking it in from the near side of the court, 22-14.
Yeah, just Georgetown. I mean, so strong today. I mean, a couple of errors here and there, but Bluefield College just hasn't been able to get a rally ready. You're already seeing a side out, and then Bluefield College isn't able to compile a couple points in a row.
Bluefield College, I mean, discombobulation and miscommunication. Diaz dumped, but just couldn't get it back over. Went the wrong direction. Well, we're going to be going into a timeout, but we're going to keep it here because I just feel like that right here, if you are on Georgetown, what is your coach telling you right now?
I don't think that you can really tell them to change anything they've already done, right, Ethan? I mean, Andrew Palmer, this is a team that traveled from Kentucky, already had a bit of a curveball in having an extra hour to really warm up. And what we saw at Georgetown, I mean, looked like they were pretty relaxed in that whole extra hour of warming up. So, I mean, you're only 2 points away. Just keep doing what you're doing because Georgetown hasn't really had to throw any wrenches in its game plan so far today. At least it appears to be, with Kowalski and Morrissey really getting the jobs done.
And then if you're Bluefield, the coach is probably telling you, be more communicative.
Yeah, and I think for Alfonso Alvarez, it's kind of like you got to have a short memory at this point for Bluefield College because you have to be realistic here how Georgetown has been able to really pound the points home and likely to get these next two here. But Rams just have to keep their energy up, and we've seen that dwindle and come back at times throughout the first the three sets of this game.
Adam Ansel for the serve. Here's Chipperini to Martin. Getting aggressive with it. From the back corner, number 16, Bilko, getting it right over the net.
Yeah, Bilko wasn't even really trying to get a kill right there. He just had the hands down for a dig, and now he's setting up match point.
It's match point, 24-14, after Bilko just amazingly, not even close to the net, getting the kill. Here's the serve. And that is a wrap. Chipperini not getting it over. It's 25-14 in this third set of action with three straight with the win, Georgetown.
Yeah, a tough one for Bluefield College today, losing three straight sets to none, 25-14 in that one. But we will take a break real quick. We're going to be on with head coach Alfonso Alvarez right after this as Bluefield College drops this one 3 straight sets. Final score here, 3 sets to none here on the Rams Digital Sports Network here with the head coach Alfonso Alvarez. And coach, just a tough one all the way around. What did you think after that game?
Bailey, I'll be honest with you. We've come back from a 9-day, 8-game road trip. you know, where we were coming home, going to class, taking off the next day. And there was some days there I was like, I see a lot of improvement, but then the next day we were exhausted, right? And then today, we were able to get back in practice for a couple days. And while out on the road, we were staying at a hotel, and kudos to the Marriott. Big shout out to them. They gave us the conference room. They gave us the projector. They gave us a whiteboard, and I was able to just get in there and have a meeting with them. And we talked a lot about how to better practice, how to better get after it, right? So we had this, man, you'd have been proud, man. We had scientific data and everything I've researched on. I really did a lot of work there. And practice looked a lot different. And we came in, and we're so much, you know, doing well. And it doesn't show up today because of the kind of team we played today. You know, there's guys on that team that are just really big, really strong, and the scoreboard doesn't read it. But I saw us not give up tips where we were giving up a lot of tips. We've worked on that at practice. We talked about that in the huddle. The guys were like, Coach, we haven't given one up. And that was really exciting, right? I also saw, I was worried about our block. Can our guys go to those big blocks as they move? Because their hands were really fast from the setter. And I felt like we were on them a lot. We just couldn't execute some of the things that we wanted to do. And I believe that that's what is an issue, if you will, with a young team. So we got them there. Now we got to execute, right? So they're reading. They're planning on what to do. Now the doing or the executing is where I feel like we need to improve on.
Yeah, and I bet it's tough to even have a good amount of consistent execution with so many freshmen, so many brand new collegiate volleyball players. With such a young team, what do you want to see as we go into the back half of this men's volleyball season out of your young guys?
It's funny you say that because I just mentioned we were out on the road for 8 straight games, right? And we didn't know how to travel. And so I'm sitting there telling them, you guys got to go to sleep. And they're looking at me going, I'm an adult. Why does he got to tell me to go to sleep? And then I'm like, well, this is why. And so we had these talks and what meals are best to have. And those are the kind of things that you learn when you get into college. Your time management. You're preparing for games. You're preparing for practice because those practices are really important leading up because they know we're strategizing, or practicing our strategies for a team. And so with that young team, what I'm looking forward to is that we can execute those things that we've learned to do. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Can we travel? Can we prepare? Can we strategize? Can we execute? Those are the things that and then, of course, that consistency play, right?
Yeah.
And so, but again, really big team, really big swings. Athletically speaking, some of those guys were 6'10", and they could still jump over. It was really, really tough matchup for us.
Well, moving forward, I guess you're going to face teams that are going to be athletic like that, big guys. What do you want to see out of your defensive strategy to kind of play against the bigger guys and even your attack as well?
On the offensive side, Bailey, I think speed. Speed kills, right? That's a big thing for us. We want to run a faster tempo offense. I felt like we did some of that today. We left our hitters on one-on-one matchups because they had to respect our middles, for instance. So if we can get our middles going, it opens up our pins. And so I felt like we did a better job of that today. I also feel that on the defensive side is we talk about fronting your hitter. So get in front of your hitter. Make sure that you don't give them these hitting lanes. They have to hit around you. And then on the back end, make sure that you're on the outside of the block to pick up and defend a court where the block is not defending.
Well, the puzzle pieces are there for Bluefield College men's volleyball. Final score in this one, 3-0. Georgetown able to win this, but an optimistic Coach Alfonso Alvarez. My name is Bailey Engel saying so long from Bluefield, where Georgetown wins this one.